You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Hello, dear listeners. Today I want to share and recommend a podcast that I recently became a fan of, and I think it's worth your time, and you should check it out. The show is called Compiler, and it's produced by the folks at Red Hat. The subtitle for the show is Simplifying Tech for Tomorrow's IT Leaders, and the show certainly does that, but it does a lot more. I'm getting ahead of myself. The reason Compiler has earned a regular spot on my podcast playlist is the genuine, authentic curiosity of the show's hosts, Angela Andrews and Brent Simoneau. Angela and Brent are your guides for journeys into all sorts of tech topics that are relevant to folks in cybersecurity and IT, and they do it in a way that's casual and conversational, but also smart and concise. This is a show that respects your time while feeding your curiosity. And Compiler has something for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're just getting started in your tech career or if you're a seasoned pro. I'm willing to bet that you'll find the Compiler podcast both entertaining and informative. So check it out. It's the Compiler podcast from Red Hat. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
My name is Karl Mattson. I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for Noname Security. I grew up as a military brat. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and we moved around quite a number of times and traveled a lot. And so even as a young child, getting to travel in China and Asia and through Europe. So for me, it was a relatively obvious path for me to join the military and kind of do the same thing, which is exactly what I did about a year after high school. I think the real presenting question for me was how to do a college education and military service at the same time, and that's really why I chose the Army, because they had the best packages ultimately for not just GI Bill but other programs to get a college education while in the service, and so that was the branch that I chose, and I really lucked out also because I received the assignment of a career field. As an intelligence analyst, which in the military is kind of like winning the lottery for a job. So I got to chance, I think I was 19 or maybe 20 years old when I received my first security clearance and my first role working with NSA. And that was a real career break for me. I think that my career at NSA works a lot like it does in the commercial world for somebody who works in a SOC. So I worked as part of NSOC as my first assignment. So the first couple of years we'll call it shift work incident response. And that's developing reporting products and escalation paths, handling incidents in a way that at 25 years ago at NSA was standard practice, but only really became the kind of the normal pattern in the corporate world in maybe the last decade. But I think that for an average SOC analyst working in a SOC today, that's pretty much exactly what my job at NSA was like. And then after a few years of that, then kind of graduated to more like a long-term analysis role. You call it day shop, and being a little bit, working your way up the management chain a little bit. But it very much felt like a security operations role would today in security. I had a number of roles where I got deployed overseas, spent a couple of years in Korea, a year in Morocco, traveled around a bit. And then when I got to be about 30 years old, I decided that it was time to grow up and get a normal job and perhaps start a family. So I moved home to Minnesota and worked for Target Corporation in IT and corporate security for a few years. And then the calling kind of came back to cybersecurity. So first at Target, later at PNC Bank in Pittsburgh, and then I got my first break as a CISO working with City National Bank in Los Angeles. So City National Bank, then followed by PennyMac Mortgage Company. So about 10 years in financial services as a CISO and security executive. that really kind of brought me to Noname today. The majority of the first probably 9 to 12 months really was building out the internal security, risk, and IT functions, including the stack of technologies, bringing aboard the talent, and sort of establishing the program fundamentals. And we did have amazing luck bringing in extraordinarily talented people who now have been in place for over a year and need very little of my expertise or guidance on a daily basis. And so my focus sort of increasingly is towards industry events and customer success, certainly, but customer facing or outward facing, because by and large, the team internally at Noname is spectacular and needs little more than me than the occasional chipping in of an opinion. I think my leadership style is largely to look at each individual and sort of take them as they are and where they want to go and wrap their job responsibilities and expectations around them. Because my experience has been that when the members of a team see the role they're in as, number one, it's a well compensated and rewarded position, but it's also an opportunity for them to build their career into what it is they aspire to do. So we want to center our security program around those skills, and then we fill the gaps with new people or new talent or services when that doesn't match with the team you have. I have, for probably 25 years now, been in sort of an operational mode of incident response or late night phone calls because something happened. And that was in 1998 and 1999, and it was the truth all through my career in the corporate world as a CISO as well. And so, to some degree, I think I've developed. I think of this probably as a good thing, but like emotionally calloused in terms of measured. So if there's a fire drill occurring, I don't think that I'm phased at this point, and that just is my normal mode of operation that I've adjusted to over time. So I don't think a CISO who gets too high or too low is durable in the role. That also requires a little bit of attention to your own health and your own self-care. It really does make a person more resilient on a personal level. My recommendation would be to consider deferring gratification as long as possible. So, for example, people early in their career looking at government service, those positions don't make anybody rich overnight, but they are amazing career cornerstones to build on. The longer you go through a journey as a professional, like opportunities like advising companies. A lot of CISOs want to get into advisory work, and that's wonderful and it's rewarding. But defer that. Use those opportunities to build relationships rather than make money right away. I have had the privilege of building a couple of security teams in my career, and also I've been a sort of adjunct university professor for about a decade. And when I get a phone call or a text message from a former student or a former employee on the team, that is overwhelmingly the most rewarding part for me, is that those relationships have a feedback loop to me on a personal level. I think that's my sign of success, is when those relationships persist over years. People come and go from different jobs and companies and career fields, and those relationships that stay the same. That's what I lean into and say that's my sign of success.
Meet Mimecast. They're in the business of taking companies at risk of cyber attack and putting them at ease. Picture this. It's Monday morning. You're cruising through hundreds of unread emails. Your impulse to promptly click, download, or respond could be a prompt to launch a cyber attack. An email address is a direct digital path to the mind, the machine, and the data of every person in your organization. It needs better security. I know what you're thinking. I'm all set. I have Microsoft 365 protection, Dave. It might not be enough. That's where Mimecast comes in. They've developed a system that fortifies your email security and reduces costs, risks, and complexities, enabling you and your business to work protected. So before you click your next email, visit mimecast.com to start your free 30-day trial.